Alright, guys, welcome to the session, and I hope all of you guys are doing good. So let's get started with today's class. So we'll take this problem statement and we'll try to cover two today, right? Not more than that. So let's start with this. So Novagart, an e-commerce platform, wants to identify its most profitable customer locations based on user life, time, and spending behavior. To do this, the company needs to analyze the average sign-up duration per location in days, the average transaction amount per location, and the profitability ratio is equal to average transaction amount upon average sign-up duration. The goal here is to find for each location, compute the above matrix, identify which location have the highest spending per active day, sort results by the ratio in descending order. This insight will help Novacart target high value regions for marketing, logistics, and customer engagement strategies. So first of all, let's get the data, what data we have, and then we'll try to understand what the problem we have to solve. And at the same time, we'll go ahead and we'll solve this entire problem statement. Okay. So let's try to understand what this data is and how we can solve this problem. We'll again solve this step by step and try to achieve and understand the business problem as well. So this is my first table, which consists of the sign up ID, the sign up start date, stop date, plan ID, and location. There is another table called transaction tables. Where you can see that we have the transaction ID, sign up ID, transaction start date, and amount. If you go back to the signups table, here you can see we have plan ID. Sign up ID is the common column on which I can connect the table, right? And then we have the details about this entire amounts and all. So if I go back to the problem, the average sign up duration per location, right? So if you go and check your data set, sign up duration, you will get it from here, right? Start date and stop date is there. So average sign up duration per location. That means with location, I want to find out the average sign up. But I will have to consider individual users as well. So first of all, I'll go because each sign up ID is one user. And I will have the location. And I'll calculate the this thing also, right? The duration also. So let's go step by step. I'll create my first CT, sign up duration. And I will have sign up ID, location, date, diff, sign up stop date, comma, sign up start date as duration, right? Duration in days, because they are looking for duration in days, right? So that is my duration from signups. So when I run this inner query, what I will get for every individual user, right? How many days they have. So sign up ID, which location he is belonging to, and the average, then the duration, total duration, right? So that I am getting in very clearly. Now, what I want I want for every location the average duration day, right? If I go back to the problem, an e-commerce platform wants to identify its most profitable customer locations based on the user lifetime and spending behavior. To do this, the company needs to analyze the average sign-up duration in days per location, which I will calculate now, average transaction amount per location, and the profitability ratio, transaction amount upon sign-up duration. Very straightforward problem statement it is, right? So let's do that. So now I will calculate the average duration per location as I'll take the data from here, right? From this particular table, that is the sign up location or sign up duration, right? So I'll copy this, select location, comma, average duration days as average duration days from sign up duration group by location, right? Let me get out of this query and let me show you that. So select star from average duration per LOC. So this is gonna give me for every location the average duration days, right? So that is again straightforward. Let me explain this query again. So here I have picked up the sign up ID, the location, and the difference between the start date and the stop date. And then I was getting sign up location and signups, sign up location and days. Now after that, I am calculating at the location level average duration day, and we are grouping by location. The sign up I am not taking it, right? Earlier I got for every user, then I went ahead and I calculated for entire location, the average value. Now, once that is done, I will go to the third step where I'll calculate the average transaction amount per location, right? So let's go and let's do that. So average transaction amount location per location, right? So location as select location, comma, average of AMT as average transaction amount from, I'm introducing now transaction tables, right? Transactions table, and I'll join it on signups. S common column is sign up ID. We are aware of that. So I'll join on S dot sign up ID. Is equal to T dot sign up ID. And let's give the alias here. Location is coming from S table, sign up table, and your amount is coming from T table, right? Let me get this and let me show you how will this look like. Select star from average transaction amount LOC. Let's see what's going on. Group by is looking, right? I missed the group by. Yes. Group by location. So now here you can see that you are getting the average transaction amount, right? So I got the average transaction amount from this particular query, and I got the average duration also from this particular query. And my half of the task is done, right? So I calculated the average sign up duration per location, average transaction per location, both are now with me. Now the last step is I want to take the average, right? Like I want to take the ratio, average by average, right? That means this particular table will join with this particular table. And after that, I will the joining will happen on the location column, because common column from both the query is location, right? Because we are calculating location and the average duration, location and the average transaction amount. So the common column is location, on which I will join. So this will go off, and I will say select location comma average duration. What name I gave? Average duration days, comma average transaction amount, comma I will divide average transaction amount divided by average duration days. I'll round it off with 2 decimal places as ratio, right? From average duration per location table, let's call it as A, inner join average location amount table, let's call it as B, on A dot location is equal to B dot location, right? Order by ratio DSC. Let's give the alias here also. Location is you can get from anywhere, because in both the tables locations are there. So A duration is coming from A, transaction is coming from B. This is B by A. And I think that is it. Unknown column location, the spelling is wrong. Okay. And here you can see that you are getting the output. Let me make it in 3 decimal places, or let's say 4. So these are the numbers coming in, right? For every location, I am getting the average duration and average transaction amount. And when I divide this by this, I am getting this ratio. Let's check it out using Calci. 81.8333 divided by 40.525. Sorry, ulta lenge. Amount upon duration, right? 40.525 divided by 81.8333. 49.52, right? So this is my query coming in. It's a straightforward query. Let me copy and I'll explain this. So basically I am getting the sign up, that is nothing but something like a user, location and the number of days for every user. After that, I am taking location and calculating the duration average. Once that is done, I am calculating the transaction amount as well at the location level. And then I am dividing the transaction amount by duration and getting the ratios, right? And that is what the requirement from the business problem. Are you guys clear with this, all of this query, what we have written? I did not get average transaction amount location. This one, right? Transaction amount. This entire query you are not understanding. So here we are using what? We are joining the transaction table and signups table. Let's go to original table. This is my sign up table. And this is my transaction table. The common column on join is sign up, right? So I'm joining the sign up with sign up. What will I get? I will get transaction amount, transaction start date, sign up, transaction ID, and from sign up table, I will get sign up ID, start date, and date, plan ID, and location. So location is also coming in, and amount is also coming in, right? Now, if I aggregate my amount at the level of location, that is what I did here in this query. I am joining the transaction table with the sign up table on common column ID. Location is I am taking in. I am calculating the average amount for that locations group by location. So for every location, I am calculating the average amount. And for every location, I calculated the duration also, right? Now, once I have the duration and once I have the average amount, I am just taking the ratio of it. So this duration ka average, this query is giving me the amount ka average, and then I am taking the ratio of both the numbers. Getting it? Rest of the folks. Let's take one more query. Let me get the table first. Because we have the orders table only. Single table is there. Let's go and check the data first. This one. Let me drop this table. Give me a second. Let me recreate this. Select star from orders. So this is my table. Now in this table, what we have customer placed order date time, placed order with restaurant date time, driver at restaurant date time, delivered to customer consumer date time, driver ID, restaurant ID, consumer ID is new, delivery region is as soon as possible, order total, discount amount, tip amount, refunded amount. These are the columns we have. Now, what is the question? Let's try to understand this first. DineGrid, a food delivery platform, wants to identify the bottom 2% revenue generating restaurants based on bottom 2% revenue generating restaurant based on the customer orders in May 2020. To do this, the company needs to calculate total revenue per restaurant by summing order total. Focus only on orders placed in May 2020. Use percentile ranking or N-tile, you can use that, and identify the lowest performing 2% of restaurants. List of restaurant ID and their total revenue, filtered to include only those who are at bottom 2 revenue bracket. This will help DineGrid optimize support, promotions, or partnerships for underperforming restaurants. Right. So let's write the query. Now, first of all, I will filter on the May orders, and I will sum up the order ka total for every restaurant. That is the first thing which I will do, right? That means I will take my restaurant ID. I will take the what do you say, place order date time, right? Bit of May ka data, and I will sum up the order ka total for every restaurant ID. We'll apply the group by on restaurant ID, right? So let's do that. Select, or let me apply the with clause. May orders. Select restaurant ID, comma, sum of order total as total revenue from orders where this column is of my interest, right? Customer placed order date time. So where customer placed order date time between 2020 0501 and 2020 0531, right? Entire May month I am taking. Group by restaurant ID, right? And I will just select star from May orders. So here you can see that you are getting the May order ka value, right? For every restaurant ID. It's summing up all the what do you say, all the restaurant ka order total. And this is specifically for the month of May. Now, once that is done, what I will do, I will go ahead and I will bucket this out, right? I'm going to use one function called entile. It's like a percentile where entile, and in entile, if I pass 100 inside the entile function, it will break this entire data into 100 equal parts, right? So let's write the query for that. So comma, revenue ranked as select restaurant ID, comma, total revenue and tile 100 over order by total revenue ascending order as percentile rank from May orders, right? And let me get out, select star from, I'll show you the output here, restaurant ranked, right? It's wrong. Total ref. Total ref. So here you can see that I am getting all records out here, right? Because there are only 70 records. If I go back to my original data volume is less. That's why only 70 coming in. Let me remove this part. Control X, select star from May orders, right? कितना आ रहा है आप? We are getting 70 records, right? यहाँ देखो 70 records coming in from the May order वाला data. That's why it is giving what? It is हर record को उसने rank कर दिया. अगर 100 होते तो 100 पे 100 में divide कर देता हूँ, right? यहाँ पर इसने 100 पे ही, we want 100 parts, but as we have only 70 parts, so it's just taking 70 parts. So this is the query which is breaking your data into 100 equal parts. In our data set, we have 70 only, so 70 parts just divided. And when I run this particular query, it's very clear that okay, these two guys are having the lowest revenue, right? मुझे क्या चाहिए? मुझे less than equal to 2 वाले चाहिए. So these are the two restaurants where the revenue is less. So once I get out of this query, I'll say revenue ranked where percentile rank . less than equal to. So these are the two restaurant IDs where the percentile rank is less than equal to 2, and these restaurant require the maintenance or advanced marketing and all, right? So calculate the total revenue per restaurant by summing total. We did that. Focus on main data. We did that. Using percentile ranking, identify the lowest performing 2% of restaurants. So that is perfectly good. If let's say I'll write here entile 70, what will happen? Still I'm getting this only. If I'll say 25, what will happen? I'm getting more records, because now what it will do, it will break your entire 70 records in 25 points, right? जितने कम करोगे इसमें उतने ज्यादा रिकॉर्ड्स आते जाएंगे. यहाँ देखो, उसने क्या किया, तुम्हारे एंटायर 70 रिकॉर्ड को 10 पार्ट में डिवाइड किया, तो ये कितने 14 रिकॉर्ड होने चाहिए. 14 रिकॉर्ड आ रहे हैं, राइट. अगर मैं इसमें सपोज लिखता हूँ आई वॉन्ट टू ब्रेक इट इंटू एंटाइल ऑफ 5, मतलब क्या, 70 रिकॉर्ड है, 70/5 कितना होता है, 1 and 4, 14 रिकॉर्ड्स. तो इसका आंसर आना चाहिए 28 रिकॉर्ड्स. अगर हम लोग उसको चलाते हैं तो आई शुड गेट 28 रिकॉर्ड्स. So you can see 28 records coming in. Okay. So basically we are breaking into multiple parts. 70 records I want to break into 5 equal parts. तो मतलब एक पार्ट 14 रिकॉर्ड्स का होगा, तो 14 लोगों को रैंक 1 देगा वो. तो वैसे ही अगर मैं इसको 100 करता हूँ तो तुम्हारे 70 रिकॉर्ड को 100 पार्ट में करेगा. मतलब ये 0.7, मतलब एक रिकॉर्ड हो गया ना, रफली 1 रिकॉर्ड हो गया. तो सबको उसने 1 1 रैंक दे दिया, 1 2 3 4 करके. तो यहाँ पे इसने सबको 1 1 रैंक दे दिया, उसमें से हम लोग 2 उठा लिए, लोएस्ट 2 हमने उठा लिया, बिकॉज रैंकिंग हमने टोटल रेवेन्यू के असेंडिंग ऑर्डर पे किया था. आर यू गेटिंग दिस, ऑल ऑफ यू, दिस क्वेरी? चलो एक और क्वेरी कर लेते हैं, अभी टाइम है तो. Just give me a second. ये वाला बाद में करेंगे, ये हमने कल कर लिया था. वेस्ट ऑन हायर गवर्नमेंट कॉस्ट, ये भी हमने कल कर लिया था. रिटेंशन. लेट्स डू दिस वन, क्वेश्चन नंबर 11. लेट मी गेट द एम्प्लॉय डेटा अगेन. Okay. So this data we have seen in the last class: first name, last name, ID, hire date, termination date, and salary. Now let's go back to the problem statement. For people first INC wants to understand employee overlap by identifying workforce size during each employee's tenure. The goal here is for each employee who has ever worked at the company, calculate the maximum number of employees present during this tenure. Identify the first date when that peak count occurred. Exclude the termination date from the employee's working days. This will help people first analyze workforce density over time and understand how crowded or lean the company was during the employee's tenure. तो मैं चाहता कि हम लोग पहले समझने का ट्राई करते हैं. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई विल वर्क ऑन ऑल द एक्टिव एम्प्लॉइज, right, where the termination date is null, and I will get the latest and the earliest date. Okay. Give me a second. ये वाला क्वेश्चन स्किप करते हैं अभी, इसका सॉल्यूशन मैं बनाया नहीं है अभी तक। आगे बढ़ते हैं। Retention rate. Let me get the data. चलो अभी यहाँ पे एंड करते हैं। राइट, ये थोड़ा बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है, मेरा भी थोड़ा फीवर सा लग रहा है। विल कंटिन्यू इन नेक्स्ट वीक। राइट, आई एंड इट हियर। लेट्स कनेक्ट मोस्टली थर्सडे एंड विल कंटिन्यू। Okay, so we'll connect again on Thursday.